Leith Spirits. I'm Matty,
Hello, I'm Colin.
And I'm John.
and unlike Rangers, we are all in the next round of the Scottish Cup. What a cracking day it's been! A day for shocks. There, like noticed Liverpool got papped out by Plymouth as well, and I don't think that's quite as big a shock as Rangers going out to Queens Park at Ibrox late penalty as well, and they managed to fuck that, which was good.
Not as big a shock, but I think it was JD Hibs again on Twitter, talking about Victor Palsson playing for Plymouth. He was subbed on in about the 67th minute or something.
Oh,
Ah,
was it?
What a
Tom,
blast for the past.
Tom James was playing for Leighton Orient yesterday as they went ahead. Man City obviously they ended up losing, but aye, who would have known, eh? Joe
Mm.
Les said, "Evening all, hiya, Joe. You're first in with the comments today, so welcome to the show." Right, so what are we talking about tonight? We've got a wee bit to get through. I suppose we went through on Friday night a 1-0 win at Ayr. A funny performance. It was like one of these. I suppose we'll get your thoughts in a second, but one of these ones where it wasn't really a spectacular performance, but a great result on a tricky night and a tie where everybody expected us to be the shock of the round.
Yeah.
Hence the BBC cameras being there and everything. So we'll talk about that. We'll not spend loads of time on it, but we'll talk a wee bit about the accounts that came out on Friday as well. Like it's probably no coincidence that they fired them out on a Scottish Cup day when there's loads of other things to talk about. But a £7.2 million loss, I think it was, um, which probably isn't the best news for a club our size record turnover. But as they say on Dragons Den all the time, turnovers, vanity and profit sanity. Um, so we'll have a wee look at that, and then anything else that comes up. If you want to get involved in the YouTube comments, just stick the comments in, and we'll cover them as we go. We've got loads of talking points for Friday as well, so we'll get on to that. So we've got Kenny said, "Hi guys, didn't take long to laugh at them. Totally, we're not missing a chance." Chris said, "Evening all, can we just dedicate this episode to laughing at Newco?" Ronnie said, "Hi guys." Andy said, "Shunday Funday." Um, spelled Shun. Um, Mark said, "Evening, gents." Kenny said, "Thought our fans were great on Friday night, made a cold night more bearable." Fans were terrific on Friday in our old traditional stadium, everybody packed in. And Andy said, Richard Gordon showed his massive disappointment. Brilliant. Um, right, I
What did
suppose one other wee
Gordon
bit.
do? Like,
I don't know what Richard Gordon did. I saw Kevin Nisbet's miss earlier as well. Did you see that? Again, when we're in the mood to have a wee chuckle at things.
no.
It's one of the sort of miss of the season type misses calling it. Oh, you'll find it
Was
on
it?
Twitter later. Aye,
Right.
he's got the keeper on the ground,
Aye.
practically around him, and he just needs to tap it in, and he hits the post. Fucking superb.
Oh,
He did go on to score after, right? Fair play to him, but anyway, right. Let's get the team up for Friday. There wasn't really any shocks. We never did a preview show um, on Friday, but the team, I suppose, Mykola came in. Let's get it
It
up on
was
the screen.
basically your team, the one that you predicted for the week before, I think, with Kaharovic replacing Gale up front.
Aye, I think it was. So we had Smith, O'Hora, Levitt, Boyle, Chris Cadden, Iredale, Nicky Cadden, Chantis, Campbell, Rocky, and Kukovic. John, any surprises for you?
Just the Ayr match announcer's pronunciation of, I think it was almost like Kahari Vari Charivic. Was some, I swear, if anyone else, any of the listeners were at the game, please back me up with that because he made a meal of it. And I know that between us and others, we've come up with multiple pronunciations of Kaharovic, but that was something new and fantastic. But no, no surprises. Had we done the previous show, had there not been like folk travelling to the games and other things that got in the way, I probably would have gone with the same sort of lineup. I would have gone with Gale ahead of Karavich. So no, not especially surprising.
Call, how about you? Same question.
I, the team I picked because we were thinking we were doing the preview show till we realised that we were going to be doing it about an hour before the fucking game started.
Aye.
I think I picked everybody there apart from Garvich. I hadn't had Bowie because as far as I was just talking to my brother earlier on, like I think he's our fifth choice striker now. Like when Yuan's back as well. So for him
Karovic.
to be starting, aye.
Aye.
So I was a wee
Aye.
bit surprised. I think they maybe thought they needed it for the battle or something. It must have been that. Bowie's maybe not quite there yet. Gale's been playing a lot of games recently, and Yuan's obviously still out. So
And a nice
that's
wee
all I
bit
can
of
think.
foreshadowing by Hibs to get the picture of Rocky on for the team selection graphic as well. Okay, right, that's enough of the team chat. Not really that much to say about the team these days. It kind of more or less does pick itself. Colin, what did you make of the game?
So I'm trying to rack my brains, right, because it feels like fucking ages ago that we played, but and I'd had a couple of drinks. Did I send you the photo of my steak I had on Friday night before the
It
game?
looked tremendous, to be fair.
Fucking magic.
And happy birthday to you, by the way. Like, belated happy
Thanks
birthday.
to the listeners for not sending anything in after all.
As requested. Yep.
Fucking hell. Aye, but you can. It's like one of the requests that you didn't mean. You know what I mean?
Were you looking for love, Colin, on your birthday? Is that what you're saying?
I was definitely looking for that. Aye, that didn't happen either. So, what to make of the game? It was, you know what? It was a hard game, but I thought we'd done well, and we sort of matched up to them. I don't think we were great. I just had the stats open a minute ago, and I've fucking lost them on my screen. But we won the we participated in the battle, whether we won it, but we participated in it. We I didn't ever feel like we were going to lose the game. You know, when you're sitting at 0-0 and you're thinking, oh, sake, the goal's coming. Can you hear all that chatting on?
Yep.
I never felt like that. I thought we deserved to win. I thought we were a better team. I don't think we were brilliant, but we've done enough.
Okay, John, what about you? How did you feel about it?
Similar to Colin in as much as I never really felt like I never felt like the goal, sorry, I never felt like Ayr were putting on enough pressure that it felt like a goal was coming. However, I'd say I bumped into Ewan and Liam down the slope in the second half, so I went and stood next to them. I'd say to them that the concern was that the longer that the game went on, as you saw with the Queen's Park game today, that there's because I think the game was fairly evenly fought. That there was a chance, an opportunity that they would go up and they would get a goal, which would kind of put the pressure on us, especially because we'd taken a large crowd, etc. However, I think from about the 60th, 70th minute onwards, I think maybe our fitness was starting to make a difference because we seemed to create more chances and more quality chances. So I think before Bashiri scored, I think Boyle had been through and he just curled it wide of the post. That was one example. So I thought that we were starting to put the pressure on. I thought that we were going to finish strong, and we did. We got the goal.
I thought that was definitely a feature of the play. Is as the game went on, we looked the more likely team, and definitely was like a kind of combination. I think of like our fitness, but also the attitude of the team. I thought was first class.
I think potentially one difference was the introduction of Bowie because prior to that, it hadn't the balls that were being played to Kaharovic, they weren't really sticking for him, and he wasn't really able to get under control and bring other players into the play. And it's a wee bit of cliche, but when Bowie came on, he did more in those first sort of 5-10 minutes that he was on the pitch than Kaharovic had done for like the previous 60. Or however long it was that he was on the pitch before he was replaced. And it was a shite one because like I know that people are going to point to and say, I think Colin, you made reference to it there about being fifth choice striker. I think that's because he hasn't had a good start to the season, and then he's been injured, and since he's come back, it's not quite working out for him. And I feel a bit of sympathy for him because it's that you heard the expression like ploughing a lonely furrow. Like he'll be battling his mind as well as like what's happening on the pitch. It's a hard one for him.
You're talking about ploughing a lonely furrow. I was thinking back to Colin looking for love on his birthday there. That's what I thought you were driving it there.
Lonely furrow.
Aye. Mark Telfer said, "Evening, gents." Kenny says, "I thought our fans were great on Friday night, made a cold night more bearable." John, tell us about your experience at the ground and how was it? Everybody packed in. What was it like?
It was interesting. I forget how you described their stadium, but it's obviously it's a stadium. It's the type of stadium I like to visit. So when we went to Forfar last year, and then a few years back when I managed to get the bus that Hibs put on in Morton, like these are the sorts of grounds that I want to tick off my list of Scottish football stadiums I've not visited. And that was actually why I the made the extra effort to go through here because I've been wanting to go through there for ages. And it's a proper stadium. Like you go in through like the sort of what do you say? It's like the old miners' houses. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I didn't know what to say, terrace houses, but you know what I mean. And the ground, I think because it was a cup game, I think because it had the big travelling support, there was just weird things that were going on around me. So someone had messaged on Twitter to say that there was only like 3 portaloos for however many thousands of Hibs fans. There was more, but because of the way that the stadium's sort of like cobbled together, it was quite hard to find where all the toilets were. So you ended up with this situation where people are climbing over a brick wall and people are sitting on top of this like concrete slab so that they could see over the top of the roll van that was there to provide the refreshments. I actually moved sort of halfway through the first half into the railway end to be right behind the goals. That was where I bumped into Ewan and Liam. And it was like fans were packed together, proper terrace steps, barriers that you could lean up against. And the noise in there was great. Like I tweeted at the time to say that I wasn't going to go and stand over there because my 42-year-old ears couldn't take the drum. But I was lucky that they were a wee bit further away. But like the Block 7 guys made a good racket. It was a good atmosphere. And obviously when the goal went in, it was it was great. And I actually got like a really good memory, and I've been trying to line it up with something because I'm sure I've seen it in a film somewhere. Rocky scores, and I think he goes round the back of the goal, and of course people are hanging over the brick wall at the front, and he's basically high fiving them as he runs past, and then of course he punches the corner flag out. So, good.
I think
I'd like to see them get promoted so I could make that trip again because it would be a stadium I'd really like to revisit.
I think the corner flag's still unconscious for that punch as well. Linda said, great trip to Ayr on Friday. Supporters were amazing. John McGlann said, seen the concept designs for the new Hibs kits. I know they'll not look like that, but the white one looked tidy. And haha, Nuco, there is like a tweet going around with a white Hibs kit, which has got the sort of the harp and the ship and the castle down. It looks smart. Alistair said, Ayr United for promotion this season then. Who would you love to go down? For me, it has to be Ross County or St Johnstone, two awful teams. So, Colin, if we could get Ayr United up into the Premier League next season, which of the two teams would you like to see go down, Ross County or St Johnstone?
It's still like Hearts to go there.
Yeah.
But out of Ross County and St Johnstone, I'm actually not bothered. Just both. I mean, because we can one out in the playoffs and one automatic.
Yeah, we could get rid of them both. Listen, if you're happy about Hibs going through and Rangers getting knocked out, hit the wee like button if you're watching on YouTube as well. That helps everybody. It just shows how happy you are. Hit that like button. Stevie said, let's all laugh at Sevco. Chris said, real concern over Miko. He looks so far off it. So we'll talk about Miko in just a second. But Colin, I wanted to talk to you about the sort of opening minutes of the game. You mentioned the battle. Hibs laid down a marker early doors with the challenge for Triantis. He picked up a yellow card. What did you make of that incident?
Worth it. I think, so I was talking about this today. I reckon, right? I can just imagine, picture the scene, right? The Ayr United dressing room. They're in there giving it. Brown and Whittaker and I going, see if these cunts fancy it. They all know fancy it. Getting about them, fucking blah, blah, blah. And Triantis just went, I fucking do. In 30 seconds. Just laid a marker down, eh? Just went, fuck you. I do fancy it. Because they'll heard that, the dressing rooms, and they'll be fucking next door to each other. They'll be banging the walls, giving it that, try to intimidate. He just went, fuck you. And he won the ball. Like, clean his studs were down. I can see, if VAR was there, you do wonder. Like, because of the what they do now with the force and all of that, and when they slow it down, it maybe looks worse. Yeah. But I don't think it's any more than a booking, and I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it to set the tone, set the standard, say, we're not going to be shiting it tonight.
Good enough. John, what about you? Do you think a yellow card was the right outcome for that challenge?
No. I thought the challenge was hard, fair, won the ball, wasn't two-footed. I think the Ayr United players shot out of it, to be honest. I mean, it would have been interesting. It's a wee bit if Matty had balls, but it would have been interesting to see the aftermath had both players gone in for it. Had both players gone into it 50-50. But their player is pulled out because he's seen that Travis is going to win the ball. Because he's doing that the opposite of what Colin was saying there for the suggested pre-match chat for Brown and Whittaker. It's never a booking.
To follow through, mate, though, it is nowadays.
These days, like 10 years ago, I think it's fine. Like, you get away with that. In fact, you probably give them a pat on the back.
Because what they say is you've got to be in control of and now you're right, studs weren't up or nothing like that. And he wasn't aiming to get the guy. He was just saying, I'm fucking winning this and I'm taking anything that's in sight. He wasn't going in to hurt anybody or anything. So that's why I don't think it's a red card, but I would expect him to get booked most times. Just because that's what they apply. That's how they apply the rule now.
I think the extension of that conversation is that are you going to find yourself in a situation where there's a loose ball and you have enough yellow cards or enough sendings off or enough VAR interventions where both players just sort of like stand back and just let it wobble about or something?
Nah, because they're too competitive to allow that to happen. It's just that it's because he's went flying in. And then he's got the guy on the follow through. And players, I mean, even John Collins was a manager moaning about Hibs player getting booked or sent off for follow through. That's how long that's been. That's what, 15 or longer, 18 years ago. So it's no, I don't even think it's like in this day and age. It's like in the last 20 years that's been a booking. Just maybe we don't want it to be. But if that's against us, we're probably shouting for at least a yellow there.
Nah, see, I don't think I was reviewing that from a Hibs supporters' point of view. I was reviewing that more for like a football supporters' perspective, because there'll be plenty of football supporters will be looking at that going, "That's never a booking." It was. I found it bizarre, and I appreciate what you're saying about like I can't remember the specifics of the John Collins one, but there's been plenty of other challenges like that where there haven't been bookings, and it comes back to that whole subjective interpretation or application of the laws of the game.
The John Collins one was against Motherwell, I remember it, and it was like, I can't remember, Philippe Moret or something, and he said, where's he meant to take his leg, like, his leg's attached to his body. So that's how I remember it, because it was the mental sort of way. He was like, well, he's went it for a tackle with his left leg. His right leg's got to come through because it's attached still.
It's like, where's he meant to leave it? Can't take it off for the tackle.
Just leave that there. I'm just going to make the tackle over there. But I don't. By the way, I didn't want it to be a booking. I just think that you see that 99 times out of 100 getting booked, and fans going every time. Oh, shouldn't it? No, the game's changed, but it has changed, and that is kind of what happens.
Right, I'm going to take us on a wee bit of negative, like, which is the point that Chris made, which was real concern over Miko. He looks so far off it. So I think through the game that seemed to be the general consensus, was that Kukarevic was having a bit of a nightmare. Like, he wasn't really impacting the game. John, you mentioned there about Bowie impacting the game more in the last 30 minutes than Miko did in the 60 that he played before it. What do you think is going on with Kukarevic at the moment?
Confidence, lack of game time, rustiness. It's probably a combination of those things. And I think the challenge in reality is that those sorts of things will only improve by him playing game times. But I don't know, is it a paradox? The likelihood is that because of those poor performances, because of Bowie's improved performances and improving fitness, the likelihood is that he's going to start and Miko's going to be the one that gets the last 10 minutes of the game.
What would you do, Colin, if you're David Guerra, and do you pick Miko and play him through it and hope that the performance is turned around and he gets that confidence, or do you just say, well, we've only got however many games left, 14 games, whatever it is, to the split, so we can't risk it. You'll just need to wait your turn.
So my question back would be, what are we basing on that he will get through it? Because was it the last time he was here? Was it before when he was getting a run of games at the start of the year?
That's a good question.
What signs have we seen to say we need to just play him through it? Maybe this is just him.
Well,
I've not seen anything different to what I'm seeing now.
I suppose we brought him back to the club for a reason. David Gray obviously saw something in him that he liked, that he wanted to bring him back. So, assuming that he still thinks that's there to bring out of the player, then I suppose that's what he would be wanting to see.
Personally, no, I wouldn't play him. We've only got so many league games left, and we're in the last 8 of the cup. We want to finish the high we can in the league. We win the cup, and we've got other strikers that are producing more than him. Bowie came on and got the flick on for the goal.
And the other player who came up in conversation today, on our thread on Hibsnet, was Dylan Levitt, Colin. So I think the overwhelming feeling on the last phone-in we did was Levitt had a good game. The previous match against who did we play last? Aberdeen. Levitt got a lot of praise. The chat on Hibs net was maybe that praise was over the top, and he didn't have a good game on Friday night. Where do you stand with the Levitt argument, Colin?
I don't think he had a great game at the weekend, and they're the kind of games I would want him to be dominating, like because it's a lower league team. But he's probably the best until we've got this new guy. If this new guy is as good as we're all hoping, until Newell's back, he's as good as we've got. So you kind of need to play him. But I was disappointed with him on Friday night. I was expecting more from him. I think Trianis got a bit of criticism, but I thought Trianis was all right, especially since he got booked early doors. He was still making tackles and he was still going to win in the ball and that. So, but he was having to be aware. I'm playing a whole game here. Nobody got subbed either, by the way. Did you notice that? Kind of like earlier in the season, it was like, should I sub them? So I thought Trianis had a better game than him, even though he was on a booking. I would just like to see Levitt dominating the games more. Like he should be able to move the ball quicker and all the stuff that he's meant to be good at, that he is good at. I think that we've sometimes seen. I think it's just he's inconsistent. It's just I don't think it was a good time for him to have a bad game though. When Newell and that maybe coming back soon.
John, you're always the champion of the underdog. Where do you stand on Levitt?
I'll probably stick to my comments that I made previously that I think in the Aberdeen game I'd said, was it the Aberdeen game? Who was it? Who did we win? Who did we beat last week?
It was Aberdeen. We just checked.
Was it Aberdeen?
Literally 30 seconds ago, John.
No, I remember you saying it. I just cannot picture the game in my head at all. But it doesn't matter. I'd said something about being he's the first choice he's got him in a position where he's like first choice replacement for Jonio. And I thought with the games that were passing, you could see that he was starting to mature a bit more into the role, and you could see like a little bit of confidence starting to come into his game. I thought on Friday there, I know we're talking about Levitt, we talked about Kaharovic. Like I thought that there was a couple of players who it's maybe not so much that they were playing poorly. I thought that the game was a challenging cup tie. Like it wasn't an easy cup tie. Ayr are obviously competing for automatic promotion out of the championship, and I think how do I put this? I think like Josh Campbell, like I don't think he had a poor game. I thought he had a quiet game compared to his usual. I thought Dylan Levitt was quiet compared to where we'd been last week, but I think that was potentially representative of the sort of game that we were playing. Take the criticism in mind that into account, sorry, that you want players to be stamping their authority. Like you would assume that the Premier League team would be stamping their authority all over the Championship side. I don't think that always happens in reality, however. Like you saw, like Queen's Park beating Rangers today. Like you would never assume that Queen's Park would be beating Rangers because you would expect that Rangers would be stamping their authority all over them. Sometimes that happens. So I don't think that, I suppose in summary, I don't think that some of the players who had poor performances against Ayr on Friday, I don't think that should be used as the only measure to say whether they're good or bad or, should be getting a game or shouldn't be.
Sandy said, hi lads, what a great weekend. Just back from dancing with the neighbours, all Hibs after watching a wee team called Queen's Park. Joe said, we've had much lower player sales in the last 2 years, 1.5 million in Miko, Joseph, Bursick and Kwan wages per annum, regardless of which financial year. What the fuck? I think we'll have time to talk about the accounts, Joe, so we'll come back to that one. Joe Capaldi said, we just need St Mirren to do the biz tomorrow night and it'll be the perfect cup weekend. Tam asked, is Gray too loyal to certain players like Miko and laterally Kwan, or is it just a lack of alternatives? Which I get that call. Do you think it is too loyal to players, or is it just the fact that the squad is, up until now, it has been really small, and now that we're starting to get players back, we might see Gray being a bit less loyal to some of the players?
Who was the example? So I'm sorry, I missed the name at the start. Was he talking about somebody specifically that he's been too loyal to, or is it just in general?
Miko and laterally Kwan.
Miko. No, I think it's the bodies that we've got. Like, I don't think he's been too loyal. I think Bowie's probably no ready to play 90 yet. And obviously, I think say this before we started. He maybe played Miko because Gale's played a lot of football recently. Bowie's maybe not ready to play 90 minutes, and Ayr were going to come and try and kick us off the park, right?
Yeah.
So he's thought, I'll play the big guy. I don't think it's a loyalty thing. I think it was an actual. He's a big physical laddie. But he's meant to be.
Mark said Gale deserves his spot, but we have to be sparing, hence Kukovic. Stevie said Miko was awful, never rated him the first time we loaned him either. Andy said happy birthday, Colin. Joe says you're welcome, Colin. I guess for your new presents. Mark said loans are negotiate for Chiantis. Happy to see the others return to their home clubs. Linda said happy birthday. Stevie says happy birthday, Colin.
Oh, amazing. This is lovely. 2
I
days
know,
later.
it's nice. I feeling the love now. John said, John McGlynn said, agreed. Miko looked miles off it. I wanted to do well whenever he pulls on the jersey, but it's just not good enough. Rocky needs a new contract. He's showing how valuable he is to us. And Raymond said, hi lads, great Friday night away with a small contingent of Peebles Hibs. How good was the goalie, by the way? Oh, and God bless the Queen's 11. And Ian says, belated happy birthday, Colin. John, you were going to say something there?
I was just going to say it. I'm not saying that the listener that submitted the point about Miko, but it talked about Bashiri signing a new contract. Like again, like it wasn't that long ago that people were trying to chase Bashiri out of the club. We signed him by mistake. He's fucking hopeless. Always got a mistake on him. Blah blah blah. Like I'm not suggesting that Miko could be that player for us, but there was the point there about like pulling on the Hibs jersey kind of thing. Like all the players that have been mentioned, whether it's Miko, Kwon, Mariah Welsh wasn't mentioned, but I think it was about some of the players that are on loan can go back to their parent clubs, etc. Like all those players at the moment are playing and have played their part in Hibs push up the table and continue progress in the Scottish Cup. So Miko, for example, while we might not want him as a starter, his use at the moment is 60 minutes he can manage because Bowie's only capable of 30 because he's fitness. Miko still has a role to play. Gale could be a starter, but also has played a lot of football recently, as Colin mentioned. So I think it's really important that we value the squad as a whole rather than singling out individuals and saying, well, you're not good enough, you can get to fuck. Because part of the success or relative success in terms of that improvement in form is team spirit.
Yep. I think that's
so let's not try and ruin that.
It is a fair point. I think everybody's been guilty of writing players off this season. Like you look how bad the start to the season we had, and Colin we did an extra time on it. I think you were in that one, John, when we did it, and we kind of talked about who we were keeping, who we would let go, and it was pretty much fucking don't bother about keeping anybody at that point because we weren't seeing it. And here we are a few months down the line, and you're sort of looking at it and going, well, Rocky's in contention for a new contract. You'd happily give him it now, probably.
You're right though, but then what you've got to be wary of, and no about Rocky, right? Because Rocky he's been good since the St Johnstone game. I don't think he's made a mistake that I've noticed anyway since then. But when we go on a wee decent run, we're far too sentimental.
Yeah.
Based on that as well. So there's a wee bit of a balance to be found. Like, which John would give everybody the 10-year lifetime contract. I'd maybe not give anybody anything. There's somewhere in the middle. You know what I mean? It's because
5-year deals all round.
Aye, 5 or 6.
But
seriously though, you know what I mean? We
Chelsea.
did go through, and we were saying send all the loan deals back and all that. You can't send them back, because it's all built into the contract, and teams have budgeted for them being away all year, so they don't want them back. So that's how we can get rid of them. But I think the loan deals, I don't think any of the loan deals have been a success still, even though we've been on an unbeaten
run. Speaking of Rocky, he was given the sponsors man of the match, or the BBC's man of the match for his performance. He was a colossus at the back again. It was a tough night for him. I thought the whole back five, if you take the Cardinals into it, were really good, John. But what would you say about Rocky's performance on Friday night?
This is going to be controversial. Like I didn't think that anyone really stood out for him. Like I said, I thought it was an evenly fought cup game.
Yeah.
So obviously there was a couple there. When I mentioned Levitt and Campbell before, I thought there was maybe an opportunity for Gray to substitute those players to try and give Hibs a bit more to try and win the game. But with the exception of them, I mean, Smith could have been in contention for the man of the match because he's had some important saves to keep us in it. I didn't think that Rocky, I suppose what I'm trying to say is that I didn't think that Rocky stuck out any more or less than most other players in the park. But he did fine, and obviously he's been in the right place at the right time to be on the end of Bowie's flick on, and I think probably more than his defensive performance because it was such a tight game. That
Yeah, but I think
was
you're right, John. I think that's controversial. I don't think I think you're absolutely right. Like I think anybody was great. I just think everybody was good. And then Rocky got
mm,
man of the match, probably because he scored the winner, not because
mm,
it was like there wasn't that much. It didn't feel like we were ever in that any danger. Like because we
Yeah.
it must be the way we're set up now. Like we're stopping teams getting many shots away or like dangerous positions and stuff. It must be the way the midfield and the defence are defending. Um, but I agree. I don't think anybody that you wouldn't go. He was fucking brilliant. They were all just good.
mm,
And then Rocky put his head in, and when there was boots flying about,
yeah.
brave to do it, and that's probably why he got it.
So Alistair asked man of the match, Rocky or Jordan Smith. Ryan said both Rocky and Smith were immense.
Can I just put a wee hang out for Jordan Smith's mum, right?
Aye,
See when he lets a goal in, go and leave the woman alone, right? She's just trying to support her lad, eh? She's just pleased he's doing well and he's getting a game. Let's no fucking hound the poor bastard when he makes a mistake or lets a goal in.
aye,
Because
no
she's
tagging
opened
her.
herself up. She's absolutely opened herself up to that now, and it's a fucking shame because I can see it coming.
Aye, it's all right when everything's nice, eh? Like you go,
Aye,
that's brilliant, but there will be folk waiting there by a
yep,
tweet bookmarked Reddit kind of bite back
100%.
just in a day. Um, what do you make of Jordan Smith? Like, Colin? Like we've talked about him as the season has gone on. He seems to be improving, but two really important saves right at the death after we'd gone in front.
Aye, I remember one of the, I'm trying to remember them. There was one that was a good one. The other one was the one that he sort of put up in the air and then had to go and catch it again. I was a
Aye,
bit like, fuck, what's he done? But aye, I mean, I, I, I thought we were quite comfortable. He made a couple of good saves. I think the defence are protecting him quite a lot. But then when he is needed, he's doing quite well. I think he's a decent goalie.
There was a pass back, I think, in the first half where he was under a wee bit of pressure, and he's just managed to sell the boy a dummy
That's right.
and play
Aye,
out for the back. That was good. And
that
then
was
I
good.
think
He's
maybe
quite good with the ball at his feet. I know I
yeah,
criticised. I made that joke about it because of the when people are trying to hound a keeper out and they make saves, they then go to the distribution to use that as the reason that they want ready a goalie. But he's actually like his passing or throwing and that bit of play you mentioned there, he's pretty decent actually with that.
I'd been a wee bit. I don't know if I'd describe it as snidey, but I remember doing a wee alternative Hibs commentary tweet on Saturday, and I was talking about his kicking. And I don't know if it's because he's a left-footed goalkeeper, but his kicking sometimes has made me, I wouldn't even call it nervous. He just looks a wee bit unconventional when he's kicking the ball out. But with that wee dummy that he sold the player, that was quite good. And then the other save that I thought that you might be referring to in the second half is one that was down low and he's tipped round his left-hand post.
mm.
So
Aye,
no,
Ben Irvin, aye.
yeah, he had a good game. Like there was another chance that I think he
He won in the
had.
first half with the boys through, and Smith came
Oh yeah,
through.
yeah.
It was a really good bit of goalkeeping.
So I think actually there is an argument for him to have been given man of the match. The only thing that was missing from his game was scoring the winner.
Does it show the benefits of Colin of having a supportive parent in the football?
Aye, let's say that. Aye.
Aye,
I try and do the same myself.
excellent.
Didn't hammer me on Twitter for it though.
Stevie says the Ayr game was properly tense, never been so happy to hear a full time whistle for a while. Andrew said, I thought it was a solid display against a very hard, well assembled championship team. Sandy said, man of the match was Smith by a ball here. Andrew said, Hibs. Sandy said, goalie bias in my blood. Ryan said, Ayr are a solid side and would fancy them to come up in the playoffs if they don't get automatic promotion. Jason said, Clamont's spidey sense was tingling. Andrew said, Smudge, a good keeper for sure. Green Tea said, totally agree, Andrew. My blood pressure must have been through the roof towards the end. And Owen said, home to St Mirren in the next round, please. Well, we are through. I mean, we'll talk about the goal in just a wee second, but we are through. Who do you fancy in the next round, John?
I can't remember exactly who's round, but sorry, who's through. However, I think I'm going to stick to my guns and say that I'd like. I know that like I do appreciate the argument of the easiest game or the
Mhm.
easiest possible tie. However, I do think that I'd like not the hardest opposition, but probably somewhere in the middle. So I wouldn't
Why?
even say it was us winning. Like maybe Aberdeen, take Aberdeen at home.
Why?
It's hard to explain. So in fact, maybe it's not hard to explain. If you go back to Scottish Cup 2016 and the route that Hibs had to the final, but particularly the last few weeks, Rangers, I think, had like a 2 week break, and Hibs were still at it in terms of the playoff fixtures or whatever. So while at first glance you would think, oh fuck, we're going to be absolutely shattered going into the game, but Rangers had started to switch off a wee bit, like the muscle memory had started to creep away a wee bit. So we were still fresh. So what I'm thinking is, if we get kind of like increasingly more difficult ties as we get to the final, we will be prepped come the final.
That's what the league games are for, though.
I know.
There's a month in between each game.
Completely agree with you. I completely agree. I'm not saying that there's any sort of logic to it whatsoever, but cup ties I think are slightly different. Like I don't think like it always matters what's going on around them.
Colin, you easiest tie at home?
Easiest team at home,
Usual.
I always.
Aye.
Yeah.
That's
So
where
who's
I am
that?
at with it as well.
Queen's Park
Who we got?
Livingston.
after today or Livingston.
Livingston, Livingston, Queen's Park. I can't remember who else was Dundee are still in.
I
But they've
would
been
prefer
pretty
to
shit
avoid
recently.
Yeah.
Livingston.
See if we get put out, would you quite like Dundee to win it? Because they're on the 115.
Nah.
Nah, you would rather they prolong them.
Aye.
Do you know like have a wee bit of affinity with it and that
Nah.
it's
Fuck
a
them.
year more than us? Nah.
Nah. Nah.
I
I'd
don't
like
know.
go on for
I think if we
forever.
went out, I'd quite like Dundee to win it.
From a football supporter's point of view, I wouldn't mind seeing Dundee win it, not because of anything to do with Hibs, just because I quite like seeing those milestones, those hoodoos broken.
Aye. Aye.
Nah.
It's a romantic sort of thing, eh? Aye.
So, as long as it's
Aye.
no Hearts, that's it. If we get back
Aye.
to, as long as it's no Hearts, I don't really care now.
Aye.
But the teams that are left in, as long as it's no Hearts, by the way, I don't care. If Dundee did it, fair fucks to them. But right, we'll look at some of the talk. In fact, the goal. Do we need to say much on the goal? It was a long throw for Iredale, flick on for Bowie. Rocky put his head in with it hurts, sparked scenes of jubilation, etc. Much more to add to that?
No.
Nah,
Good summary.
don't want to over egg it. I mean, it's a well worked. Well, what I liked about the goal was that it was coming. Like as the game went on, I thought we were pretty relentless. And Colin, I think you mentioned it earlier on, where the amount of times we've been there over the years where we didn't like Boyle misses the chance, where he tries to slip it past the keeper and he puts it past the post, and then he go.
There's one he should have squared to Cadden as well. Was that the one?
Oh,
Was
aye.
that the same one? Or was that a
No,
different one?
no, that one. I mean, Cadden's got an open goal.
Oh, man.
Pretty much if he lays it across
Yeah.
to him, with a couple of penalty shouts. Like Bowie should have definitely had a penalty. I think there was an argument Josh Campbell should have had a penalty as well. Ken, when we're looking at players coming in after the ball's away, that we've been stung for recently. Then Campbell takes some studs to the knee. I think with VAR we probably get both of those. But there has been like a time in the not so distant past where you're looking at going, this isn't overnight. They're going to get a chance, they'll score, and we'll go out, and it's going to be embarrassing. Everybody's going to kick off about it. But actually, it looked like the players just went, we'll just create another chance. They just kind of kept going and going and going. They were so professional, so calm with it. And I thought they worked hard enough. Like we talked about their work rate a lot over the last few weeks, but I thought Friday night was definitely like an example of the team having that belief in themselves, but just working hard enough to get the win. Right, the talking points. So we've got first one is Whiskey Craig, who said Smith played well, Rocky looked solid, and Campbell committed. Bowie needs minutes, as does Kukovic. Felt Clancy refereed both teams differently. Poor from him, but a win is a win, and in the hat for the next round. Colin, on Clancy, Clancy for me, I felt he was refereeing the game as if he was looking for VAR to bail him out on the big decisions. What did you think his performance?
Did you? Is that what you thought? Aye. Oh, mate, I can't really remember. Like, I can't remember sitting going mad at any. I can't even remember the penalty shouts. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's because I can't visualize them at the moment. I've not seen the highlights back. Excuse me. So
Oh, well, ask John that question then.
I
John,
ask him, please.
you take that one.
Sorry, what was the question? I was thinking about the penalty incidents.
So we were talking about
And
Clancy's performance, but
Clancy.
basically, what do you think of Clancy?
Well, I suppose I'd bring in Scott Brown's comments where he said that I think he said that the referee and the fourth official, correct me if I'm wrong, had tried to make themselves the story of the game. That I think there was 4 bookings, and Scott Brown reckoned that none of them were bookings. I think there was the ironic jeers that went up for a while because I think Hibs had been pulled up for every challenge that they made, and Ayr had gotten away with a few. The penalties were, I couldn't honestly say whether I thought they were penalties or not because of the terrace and because I was looking through some or trying to look through some old East terracing style support beams. View was sometimes obstructed. There was quite a few bodies in there, like the folk that were watching on the television would have had a better view of that than me. The shouts obviously went up in the ground, but there wasn't anything clear enough for me. Like I've talked about that before, with like sighting someone down from behind or whatever. So no, I couldn't honestly say that were penalties. Clancy, it wasn't a dirty game, and I stand by my comments about Chantis's foul at the start. Like that, I don't think that was a yellow. I don't remember the others being clear yellows. Aye.
Well, funny you mention that the next few comments I've got on YouTube are related to that. So Green Tea said didn't think it was even a yellow. Some of the air tackles were worse without any punishment. Andrew said
There was a foul on Kaharovic in the first half that I thought was a booking for the Ayr player. Or sorry, it was definitely a foul, but I don't think it was even stopped. Kaharovic was put up in the air, and I don't think the game was even stopped for that.
There was a couple of Giannis that were close to yellows that never got booked as well. It was almost like they were trying to go, well, he's on a booking. See if it retaliates.
Do you know, if I was to make a criticism of Clancy and the officials, it would be that I thought that they were trying to officiate the game. We're going to give the Championship side a wee bit more leeway when we're going to give the Premiership side. Aye.
So I thought Chantis is a booking. I'm going to see that a booking 9 times out of 10 in most games up and down the country. I think Green Tea's
bullshit.
I think Green Tea's point there about some of the air tackles were worse without any punishment. I think that is where I would probably challenge my thinking on it and go, if the referee's not being consistent, like if he's choosing not to book obvious yellow card tackles for there, he doesn't need to book Chantis either. So Chris said I'm with John on this. I don't think that's a booking clean challenge. Ian said the Ayr guy came steaming in too. Andrew says no, and the fourth official lol. And Owen says not a yellow for me. So, like John, I think there's quite a lot of sympathy to your perspective on that one.
That's Lauren, what want rather than what the rule is, though.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
Lauren said Miko is shite. We need a centre forward who can get the ball into feet and hold it. Gale should have played for that reason. Too many long balls down the channels and over the top. Smith and goals was brilliant again. Boyle should have had a hat trick, but he was miles off it tonight. And then Rocky with a wee green heart next to it. Neil said Rocky, Ardale and Smith the standouts tonight. Not pretty, but job done. Bowie has all the attributes to be a great player for us. Just needs to build up his minutes. Desire and work rate got us through. Neil Renton said, you know what could be important at this time of the season? We played on a Friday and the next game at St Mirren is a week on Sunday. I'm hoping that a couple of days extra helps recharge the batteries. Neil said if Boyle squares the ball to Cadden first half with Cruz it, pretty wasteful in front of goal, but job done. David Gray going to be a Scottish Cup winning captain and manager. John, with Rangers getting into, we mentioned Rangers got papped at the day of Queen's Park. I can't remember if we spoke about that.
Once or twice.
Did they not get a penalty?
Can you believe they got a penalty with about 3 seconds left at injury time to go, Colin?
That's incredible.
It looked soft as fuck as well, right?
It was never a penalty.
By the way, and he missed it.
He missed it.
And who was it?
Cracking save. Tavernier.
He normally gets another. Once he misses one, they normally give him another one to make up for it. Was there not enough time?
They're out of time. The VAR had a good fucking look at it as well, by the way, to see whether or not they could get a retake. Do you think
they were absolutely raging in their wee photo cabin in Hearts? I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, he's not come off his line. Get the rule book it.
So, is anybody good at Photoshop? Could I check like alter the images? There was Jimmy put a link to a tweet on our WhatsApp kid Jimmy that used to come on Quick Bank, and hello Jimmy if you're listening. And it was Derek Ferguson moaning on the radio, and he says we've only won 3 trophies out of the last 23 or something. And whoever was hosting it says no, it's out of the last 42.
Richard Gordon.
Richard Gordon. It was fucking brilliant. The penny dropping. You can always hear it go, what? Tremendous.
He goes, I stand corrected.
I stand corrected. So, well, with them out, right, so whenever a team wins the cup, you're almost like relying on somebody in your favour and knocking out one of the old firm. So there's only Celtic left in there now. Everybody else is much of muchness in the team. Like for the bigger teams, much of muchness. How do you rate our chances? And out of 15, John, what are our chances of getting our hands on the cup?
15 being winning it.
Aye, 15 is like we're definitely fucking winning the hanging. 0's being we're getting papped out next round.
It's easy to say after the draw, like.
But it's less fun. Like we're I can't wait that long. Like folk are watching this now. Like I can't pad out till after the game when I've got work them on.
Right, fair enough.
Just before I answer that, and just to go back to what I was saying before about that increasing challenge, I think the better way to describe it might be that I don't want us to ever get complacent at any game, like not be like, oh well, they're fucking easy, so we should absolutely beat them. Like I want there to be enough of a challenge in every game, up to and including the final. In terms of us being able to win it out of 15, at the moment, I'd probably say a 10 out of 15 chance. I'm going to remain cautiously optimistic until the end of the season, if not the rest of my life when it comes to Hibs fortunes, because I don't know, I still feel that from where we were and thinking that we had the hallmarks of a side that may be relegated, I didn't want to suddenly think, well, that's it, everything's fine, we can relax.
But the hallmarks are a team that can win the cup here now, though, we know.
Potentially. And I think as well, because one of the two big sides have been knocked out, we've got the luck of the draw tomorrow and whoever it is that we face. But you'd like to think that the way that we're playing, the way that we're grinding out results, the things that have transformed our season could stand us in good stead in the remaining rounds if we can get a favourable draw, if we can put in the same sort of performance.
Yeah, what I liked about that answer, John, is the fact that you took so long with it that the folk watching this, so we are about 30 seconds ahead of the folk watching on YouTube. There was answers coming in the comments before you'd given me a number. Like other folk had answered. So Sandy says 15, Andy said 12 to Hibs 3 Rangers 2 says he's laughing out of 15, what happened at 10? A long story that and Easter Road Revolution said Celtic having to go to Tynecastle might be tough for them, whatever it takes. Paul said going by league table would be third favourites, going by form second. Definitely get a bit more hope than when an Old Firm team gets knocked out. Could wash away getting drawn with Celtic.
Bookies have got a second favourites equal Hearts at the moment, but Hearts have got an extra game to play still, so I guess they'll be second favourites tomorrow if they go through.
Aye. Well,
they didn't have a good record.
Colin? Sorry, John.
So I was just going to say, Hearts don't tend to have a good record against St Mirren or at Love Street or at New Love Street. So,
fingers crossed. Did you ask me my score at 15?
Aye.
11 or 12.
Right, and the Hibs Rangers is 14. Susan said, thought we struggled with their physicality. What about Gianna's tackle? In my opinion, it was hard, but good tackle. More professional second half. Bowie changed the game when he came on, held the ball up well. Thought Smith had a great game. Gets fans and loves the club. Smith is definitely one of these players that celebrates with the fans, like when if we get in the club, and I think, like, do you sense that, Colin, the actual whole team at the moment? We've got a team of people who, and obviously it's easier when we're winning, we're in good form, but we've got characters in there that are like they get it. And maybe this comes back for Joe Newell cancelling the Christmas night out. I can't remember if we talked about this in the phone in, never mentioned it on here. The open goal, we were doing a darts thing at HTC with the players, and they asked, where did you go on your Christmas night out? And the players went, all right, go cancel. Joe Newell tell us we weren't having it because we weren't playing well enough. So, again, being a captain, but for the criticism that it gets, have we got a bit about that about us now in that sense, Colin?
Well, aye, but I don't know, Ken, if we never had that. Just because we were losing games, that's one of the things that's easy for the mentality monsters to throw out, isn't it? That we've no leaders and get them out of my club and all that chat that you get. And it's like, you win a couple of games, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, fucking, he really gets it. Did he not get it before? Like, you know what I mean? It's just that we weren't winning games. So it definitely looks like that. But when you're winning, everybody thinks everybody gets it. As soon as if we were to go and lose the next 6, they'll be getting leadership chucked to them again, and that other shit.
Wage thieves, etc. As it goes,
Yep.
JK 1976 said, not pretty, but was never going to be against an informed team on a bumpy, dry pitch. But we never looked under any pressure until the last few minutes when they chucked the kitchen sink at us. Smith and Rocky superb, as was Nicky Cadden in the second half. Poor from Levitt and Miko, they were both well off it. John, Nicky Cadden's been like a real find for us this season, if you like. I mean, I say a find, obviously, is like the Chris Cadden's twin brother. You didn't have to look that hard to find him. Listen to Sports Sound at the weekend, they were talking about signing of the season across the league, and Nicky Cadden's name came up for a number of pundits. They talked about the boy that's scoring the goals for Dundee United, whose name escapes me.
Boy for Wrexham.
Aye. So they mentioned him, but then Nicky Cadden came up as well. Hibs obviously
Dalby. Is it Sam Dalby?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nicky Cadden was sort of the next shout. He featured in the Hibs graphic that had him dressed up as Batman and the pre-match.
Arkham Asylum.
Aye. Well, what are you making of Nicky Cadden?
For saying so many words before to having so few right now, if he's not the signing of the season across the league, I think he's in contention for Hibs signing of the season, probably alongside Triantis. Maybe Smith. Smith probably wouldn't figure in that because he's had fewer games in comparison to them. But I remember someone a couple of years ago saying, "Oh, I'd really love to see Nicky Cadden play for Hibs." And I had no idea that Cadden had a brother. Chris Cadden had a brother at that moment. Sorry, at that time, let alone a twin brother. But he's come in, and it's hard for me to quantify exactly what it is that he does on the left hand side. I think what he does that I like about him is that he's quite direct. He's quick without having blistering pace. He likes to get a touch and deliver into the box. I think his crosses are probably his best attribute, like his deliveries into the box. And I say that's his best attribute. They're going to, things like he's got a wand of a left foot, like he's sticking free kicks in, but he's had fewer free kick contributions or goal contributions compared to his crosses into the box. He's just done really well on that left hand side, and I think I don't want us to become over reliant on it. I thought that Ayr were quite well disciplined and were prepared for the threat that Nicky Cadden posed down the left hand side, and I thought they stifled us pretty well. But no, he's had a really good season since I think did he have an injury quite early doors, and he was out for a couple of weeks, and then he came back. And I think him, like most of the rest of the team, have really kicked on since that Aberdeen 3-3 game.
Just gets it. Just gets it. Aye, just gets it.
I'd love to know what it is, because you hear that getting bandied about, don't you? Like, what is it?
Aye, I know. Well, it's just winning games, mate. It is as simple as that. Like, but he'll be in with a great shout of player of the year because the voting's usually about in the next week or two. It's usually by the end of February, early March. So, he'll probably get it. Giannis will probably get young player because he's under 23 or whatever he's set with the limit we set. He's 21, isn't he, Giannis? So he'll definitely win that. But Josh Campbell will probably be a contender for that again as well. Like he always is.
Always, aye.
But he's definitely going to be in the running for that. I mean, just because of the amount of assists and goals he's brought, like that's what made the difference, isn't it, for us?
Sorry, I talked about the number of goals that he scored for free kicks, but there's been important goals as well, isn't that he scored for open play as well. So like he's more of a danger. He's more of a goal threat than I would probably associate with a left-sided midfielder. And I think that's maybe one of the sort of secrets to why he's been so good for us. Like he just however it is that he does it, he gets himself into goal scoring positions, and he makes other contributions as well.
John McGlynn says 106 watching, a wee bit more than that at the minute, but he says mind and hit like. Yep, definitely hit like if you're watching. It helps us out. Chris said, "Job done. That's all you need to say. We weren't great. One or two players looked well off it for us, but the important thing is we're through. Credit to Ayr, they stopped us playing home draw against Cove in the last 8 weeks. Obviously, Cove went out to Livingston." Cannon Hannon said, "Iredale once again, no one talks about, but excellent performance for him again. But why did we play Boyle through the middle all game? Totally ineffective in that position." William Todd said, "Clean sheet again. Shape makes us hard to beat. One man midfield. Hope new signing can improve that area. Bowie to start next game with Gale to come off the bench." Gillian said, "Wasn't pretty at times, but job done into the next round." Lorenzo, just a question to every Hibs fans: would you play Ekpiteta over the current Rocky? Honestly, right. Ekpiteta's back fit at some point. Colin, does he come in ahead of Rocky?
No, no, no. I mean, Rocky's been, he's not making mistakes. He's doing really well, picking up man of the match stuff. I don't. Does it need to be directly for Rocky? Can he come in for O'Hara? Like,
Could do.
and O'Hara done well as well, though. The last couple of games, especially, he's coming onto a bit of a run of form as well. So I'm not saying he would automatically, but it seems to be like, oh, Ekpiteta will come back for Rocky, but he just plays in the back three. Can he not play in the right of back three? You know? Or can
And
Rocky move to the right of the back three and Ekpiteta go in the middle? You know?
John, the unsung hero, Iredale. Again, another good performance. Does he get the is it a pre-assist where he takes the long throw and Bowie gets the actual assist?
He
Was it
assist,
him that took the long throw?
Aye.
I thought it was Cadden, but it was me because I saw a snippet of the replay and I saw the beard and just made the connection. Aye, pre-assist.
Fuck Tefano said we were dreadful. Levitt shocking, Chantis poor, Miko GTF. They pressed as well and were the better team, but it's Hibs' name in the hat, and that's all that matters. We weren't dreadful, were we? We say we were. We were
I don't think they were the better team either.
Nah, I don't think so. I mean, Scott Brown pointed out they had one more shot on target. I'll check the stats to see if that was right.
BBC's got 2 more shots. I was just looking at that. 2 more shots on target
They
than
did.
us. Yeah.
Aye.
I don't know. I'd not seen the XG. I don't know if it was done for that game.
I
couldn't see it on the.
Nah. Ewan said we go through. Rocky was solid, as was the whole defence. Shaky midfield at times, missing cutting edge up top. David said, "Aren't games so much more enjoyable without VAR?" And Iredale and Rocky solid again tonight. What do you think of that then? So no VAR. There's an argument that we could have had 2 penalties in the game. We didn't get them, but we went through anyway. Would it have been a different story if we'd lost? Would we have been lamenting VAR and the referee not giving us the decisions and nobody been there to correct it?
I think that's what a lot of folk want, isn't it? There's definitely a noisy sort of minority, and there's clubs joining in now on it.
Mm-hmm.
That they'd rather have wrong decisions not getting overturned. So, I don't know, maybe that's what the people want.
John, did you prefer it without VAR?
Aye, I did. I hadn't even considered the implications of VAR being involved or not being involved on Friday until you were talking about it right now. But the goal was scored, and there wasn't that sort of because I think every goal was reviewed. Am I right in saying
Yeah,
that?
everyone's reviewed. Yeah.
There wasn't any like Colin was saying with the Triantis tackle. There was no VAR review there. Like I wouldn't say that players were free to do whatever they wanted, but there was something I'm almost reluctant to say quite liberating about the absence of like that sort of that like second guessing yourself. Not because I know that people say, oh, they didn't celebrate the goal until VAR's ruled it in or ruled it out or whatever. Um, but that like VAR does seem. I think the more that you see it in the sort of the top flight games, the more it becomes ingrained in you that there's always going to be that check for uh, sendings off or goals, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So for it to not to have been there actually was quite a refreshing change.
I just think it's mental to know. I ken it right, wasn't it there? But like to not want it. I mean, the Man United goal they went through the other night. That's getting chopped off with VAR and that. You know what I mean? Leicester's at the cup because you're relying on a person rather than like technology.
Yeah.
But
I'd rather what the teams
Uh,
do. I think that's my thing with VAR. Is like I would rather lose on the back of what Hibs do than on the back of what a referee does. And that's and rather win on the back of what Hibs do rather than what the referee does. Colin Keith O'Flaherty on YouTube. I think I'd rather use VAR than what happened in the Man United game without it. That was shocking. So just sort of backing up your point. I think it was Maguire, wasn't it? It was like well offside and
the injury time as well. So there's not even time you come back, but it's done.
And it's harsh if you go out the cup in those circumstances. Right, we're kind of knocking out a time here, but we're through to the next round. The only other thing I really kind of wanted to touch upon, but we'll maybe carry this over into extra time, just given we're up to an hour just now already. The accounts came out on Friday, £7.2 million loss. The owners have said they're covering it. I think somebody in our chat, I'll give them the credit, it was Leon, said he considered it more an Ian Gordon loss than a Hibs loss because he's covering it. I thought it was a fucking really good way to look at it, to be fair.
Look to yourselves.
I vote to ourselves. What do you make of these things, John? Do you give them any thought at all? Is it important, or where do you stand on when you see a figure like that posted as a loss for the team?
I think, well, Hibs have been in financial bother previously. In fact, sorry, Hibs have been in financial. Hibs have had financial problems previously, and Hibs are still here today. So I'm quite relaxed about, despite the news reports and the way that it's been received by supporters. Like you'd never ordinarily want to lose 7.2 million. However, I'm pretty comfortable with it. The one little bit that raises a wee question mark and a wee bit of concern for me is the idea that the owners might want Hibs to become self-sustaining. I mean, they've said, I think they've said that for a while, that they want Hibs to be self-sustaining, but coming out at the same time as reporting a 7.2 million loss, my football brain turns to Gretna Brooks Milson and saying, well, that's it, fuck you, you're on your own.
Mm-hmm.
I'm turning off the tap. I'm sure that'll not happen. Sure that'll not happen with Hibs. Then he hold it against me if it does. So I'm all right with it. Right. The stuff that's contributed to those losses, I think, has been acknowledged and shouldn't be repeated. So there won't be any more like big spends on, say, hospitality, for example.
Mm-hmm.
You'd like to think that with Garvin Stewart involved now, that we're not going to have recruitment strategies like we've had in the last 3-4 years that have contributed to some of those losses.
And Colin, I suppose one of the things that stuck out for me in hindsight, I was quite concerned when I saw it first, but in hindsight, there were losses that they sort of agreed to before they happened, if you like. They said they went in an unbudgeted spend in January, obviously hoping that performances would improve. We obviously saw what happened under Montgomery. He took us into the bottom six rather than a European spot, which is what they were hoping for. That had a huge cost. But if you've got somebody saying in advance, within a mind, if we're going to a loss, we'll cover it, it's a bit different for them going, oh fuck, we've fucked the season up and we need you to bail us out. There's two very different things. One's a strategic decision, another one's like we've got no other choice here. It shows you the importance of sporting performance, doesn't it?
Well, that's it. That is it. I've not read all the account stuff yet, right? So I will if we're going to do it in extra time. But because to answer the first question you asked, John, I didn't really pay that much attention. As long as as you've said, we're not in debt. Like somebody else is paying it, which it sounds a wee bit Hearts fanny when Romanov was in charge, I suppose, because they were like they termed that "what to ourselves," and I'm just kind of repeating that.
But that was the difference. Is that was debt. They took debt. They don't. We've not got the debt. There's just somebody said, "Well, we'll cover it with my money." They're not asking for it back.
Yeah. But it does worry that money can't go on forever. Like you know what I mean? He's got another brother anyway. At least one brother that's got to be going spending all my fucking money. But the can't remember what I started with. What was it you actually asked me? Can you remember?
The importance of sporting performance, like how well the team does.
Yeah. We go on a lot about the accounts about how much we're making on hospitality and all that, but we're just burning fucking money because the team hasn't been good enough. It doesn't matter how good all the hospitality is because it's actually you need the football team's about the sporting performance and the hospitality, and that should be the spin off from that. Whereas we've kind of seem to have done it in reverse. Oh, we've got brilliant hospitality, but like now they can't sell it out because the team shite. You know what I mean? It's like they need to find the right balance here. It's great that they've done all of that, but I just feel maybe the priority was in the wrong area for too long. But hopefully that's on the turn now.
Well, we'll cover it in a bit more detail tomorrow night in extra time. I just think it's fucking mental in a year that we bring in like £8 million worth of investment. We get an actual, literal billionaire involved with the club, and we end up fucking publishing accounts like that. You think, how the fuck can you mismanage things to that extent that you're
and they expected it to be good because they said that in February at the AGM that the accounts were going to be good.
Can I ask?
Performance really that bad that it's went for they're going to be good to that?
Can I ask a question? Like you guys, I don't know if you guys will know the answer, and maybe a listener will. So was that February last year they expected the accounts to be good?
Yeah, Ben Kensel did these interviews with like Shannon, I think it was, to sort of say these are a moment in time. You see the accounts next year, they're going to be fucking much better. A paraphrase.
So see, the question that I'm trying to ask is, and I don't know whether it relates to football clubs, and when you get when does an organisation have a chief financial officer, and would a chief financial officer ever get involved and say, hang on, what are you doing with that money?
Is the problem
you
no
are
though?
burning through it.
You're right, but is the problem no that we had your chief financial officer acting as a chief exec? Because that's what Kensel was, wasn't he, at Norwich? And then we brought him in as a chief exec, where he's actually experienced. So was he doing the dual role?
I think he was chief operating officer at Norwich. I don't think he was CFO.
Was he?
Oh. I don't think he was CFO.
But so that's the question. Like, I wonder if there was ever anyone at Hibs that went, "Hang on, like you are burning through the cash here. What are you doing?"
I'm sure somebody put up however much it was a week, and it was like 100,000.
How much were we paying Melida then? Was it just Melida Marconde? Is it just solid that 7 million?
Like mental. It is mental when you look at it to kind of get there.
If everything was all right in February and it's fucked by when does the accounts end? Is it like what's the financial year? Is it June or something?
I can't remember off the top of my head. I need to pull them up.
I think the accounts were like at the end, like was it 30th of June 2024? That's the accounts up to the 30th of June 2024.
Right enough. And obviously we had a couple of million still in the bank. Do you know, like I always say this, it's not like you reset and start at zero at the start of the financial year, and you know any money that you had before is gone. So if you make a loss, you've not got £7 million debt. It's just you've spent 7 million and you've taken in, but you might have other assets that cover that. So you know it's not necessarily the end of the world that it happens. Jack Flash's Big Ian cover in Easter Road Revolution said you'd think he'd kick some arses when it's coming out of his own pocket. Chris said it's no coincidence that Malky was talking about sustainability, etc., and then we announced these massive losses. I think that's fair. Easter Road Revolution said they being Hearts had that debt before that nut job took over them. Andy pointed out £3.5 million in stadium improvement. And Paul says my concern is how long are they going to keep covering these losses and in turn keep making the mistakes leading to these losses. Is the summer reset a tarted up way to say the wage bill's getting cut? I think we'll dig into that a wee bit deeper on extra time, Paul. So I think it's a good point. Like I mean, you obviously can't do that season on season. I think there's something like £20 million in losses over the last 3 years, which clearly you know there's a limit to how much folk will spend on it. But we'll dig into that for extra time tomorrow. If you're not already a subscriber and you want to hear that. Accounts chat, what a fucking exciting thing to get. We will do some football. We will do some football as well. We might change our mind before we do it when we come to our senses. But if you want to catch that, go to our Patreon, you can sign up, or if you'll see in the comments, some folk have got wee coloured badges on their names. That's because they're YouTube members. You'll see a wee link on here to
and we'll always read their comments out before the match.
They do get priority, of course. You know, we didn't normally say it loud, but they are the best comments for those and for the subscribers. Right, we're out of time, so we'll be back tomorrow with extra time. So we hope to see you there. Thanks for tuning in, and if you never already hit the like button, go ahead and do it now, and we will see you next time.